Hi, I'm Gil Benbrook from Phoenix Stages and TalkinBroadway.com, and I am here with Michaela Lynne Stein, who's the costume designer for Jesus Christ Superstar here at ABT, which runs through April 16th. So Michaela, this is the first show that you've done. You designed costumes for here at ABT, but I know you've designed some sets here.
Yes,
So
correct.
why don't you tell me a little bit about the creative process and the difference between the two, and what's it like with the concept for the show? I know you worked with Kyle Kalpaki, who's the director of this production. So just go, tell me all about it.
So, coming from design roots, I started as a costume designer many years ago, but have really settled into doing stage design and designing sets for pieces. There's a big difference, but also no difference. You know, conceptually, you're still trying to create art and to tell a story. For
either
me,
through the set,
yeah,
or
either
through
through the set or the costumes. You want to give a location, you want to give a mood, you want to really help to progress the story and ask questions of how can I assist in telling this, and to also create something beautiful and interesting that takes the audience along for a journey. So in a set design, you create the environment that these characters live in, and that seems very realistic. But from a costume design perspective, you want to tell the character's story in one look. I mean, every day when you get up and you get dressed, you want to tell your story for the day, and how you present yourself. And so costume designing gives you an opportunity to do that and to really show character and development over time, and saying, okay, well, so for Jesus, how do we show his progression? How do we show Judas's progression? How do we depict Mary Magdalene? What do we want to grasp onto through all of this? Conceptually, we talked a lot about the Hunger Games and Mad Max and all of these post-apocalyptic, Divergent, all these other post-apocalyptic worlds and genres that also seem like they could be now. That's so common right now, and the theme of this story, I think, is really important to tell, not only at this point in the year, religiously, but also where we're at historically in America. So it's really, I think it's important to share this message and this viewpoint of the show. So we talked a lot, Kyle and I talked a lot about, okay, color palette. How do we want to look at our color palette? Our poor people, our followers, our apostles, versus the rich and the wealthy and the Romans.
Right, and here are a bunch of the costume renderings that you've done.
Yeah, so these are all of the renderings. There's about 45 individual looks in the show, and I've rendered out 39 of them. Some of them have been added on pieces throughout the process, and things that were definitely like, I didn't need to draw 13 lepers, you know.
One leper would suffice.
Right.
So what's like the most favorite thing that you've come up with, or something that you designed that when you saw it created on stage, you're like, oh my God, I just love this. Like, is there something you want to talk
I don't know.
about?
There's very different looks. So the apostles are they're poor, they're followers. We wanted to show that they have all of their life with them. What they're carrying is what they own. They don't have anything else. They don't go home, which is why it's so easy to follow Jesus. So they have lots of layers. They're prepared for anything, but their clothes are worn. It shows that they've had them for a long time.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. So.
Living in this world, you know, everybody's in combat boots because there's rubble everywhere. It's, you know, you have to find the right footwear and stick with it. So I really like the layering and the color palette that we've used for all of the apostles, versus then the Romans and the wealthy that are in these bright colors. We joke that they're...
So over here are the bright ones.
Yeah, okay. So we joke that they're based on a package of tropical Skittles. But really,
but it's a little bit like in the Hunger Games.
It is in the Hunger Games. So they're the capital from the Hunger Games.
Okay.
We have our Effies, we have our Caesars, and...
right here are
and so looking at them, we wanted to have them have this kind of champagne-y, effervescent quality to their clothing. They don't carry all their stuff with them. They're very... You know, they are a piece of art.
Yeah, it's like high fashion versus like the everyman kind of here.
Right, this is all inspired by couture this year. Like, we are very present in our depiction of things and our contrast of fabrics too, and seeing the satins and the chiffons and the organzas versus the cottons and the linens of the apostles. So texturally, we have a huge difference between them as well.
And was there any, when you first came up with the concept, were there any major changes that Kyle said, let's go change it in a different direction or something? Or?
We had a few drafts of Pilate and Herod, but really we were talking the same language. We were just telling the same story from the get-go, which was really lucky. We'd had some really strong meetings, and also talking with the scenic designer, Aaron, and being able to work together to pull together the same research and to watch the same things and to really hone in on what our world was going to be. So we're very lucky that we hit it, you know, and it's not every production that you work on that it just feels so natural and effortless in your work. And not saying that it wasn't any work, but it's been such a joy to work on it. Yeah, and then there's subtle other things too in the costuming, like, okay, so everybody knows Peter denies Christ 3 times, so I wanted to have 3 very repetitive in the show. So the soldiers and Peter and everybody that turns against Christ has the power of 3 inspired into their costume. Judas, because he's barred to his fate, is wearing striped pants, but also a military coat because he knows that he has to follow along and to do what he's told he will have to do. In a very similar fashion, Jesus has a side-laced pant. Really, that came from representing, like, he's tied to this in a way that Judas is imprisoned with his fate. Jesus is also tied to knowing this is my life and this is what I've been born and brought in to do.
Right, so here's Judas in his striped pants.
Yeah, this is Judas's superstar look, and this is Judas
right, with the dark
for his
stripes.
with his main costume. So he has blue that ties him into Christ. So the apostles' color is blue. We've also pulled a lot of inspiration. There's little bits of Middle Eastern inspiration, either through ancient Egyptian clothing, even though, you know, we're kind of fudging some things, but playing with the idea of the location having an influence to the story as well. Yeah.
No, they look beautiful. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you. I'm very thrilled with how it's turned out. I've been really blessed with a wonderful team. So, and the wigs, oh my gosh, just everything. Everyone on this team. I see all the wigs here. Yeah, our wig designer, Amanda Grand, she and I worked together and had long, extensive conversations because it's also her art that comes into it, and honoring every person on the team as an artist. That's why we do this. We want to tell a story, so being able to work together and to honor each other's process is really important, and it's all beautiful. Oh my gosh. And tying with our themes and having some hidden messages in the clothing. One of my favorite costumes is King Herod's, and I'm looking for fabric for his costume. I found this amazing metallic brocade that actually has a lily pattern on it. So lilies are the Easter flower. So coming in then at the end of the story, having Herod in a lily pant is kind of important to me, coming from that background, even though he's not the one that sentences him to death. That's showing the resurrection and forgiveness. So we have that. His beautiful red silk shamtung coat that we've made here in-house. We bought a huge portion of our costumes online. Luckily, doing all like a contemporary show, I was able to source a ton of things thanks to Amazon. Shameless plug. But then in-house we made a ton of beautiful pieces here, and the team pulled it all together and just created beautiful garments. So this is one of my favorites from the show, but we go anywhere from King Herod to our really high fashion leopard costumes. You know, this really nice tunic. But there's just a contrast of pieces where we got to play.
No, I see like there's some leather here.
Yeah, some linen. We've got a little bit of everything.
I see here's behind green. Yeah,
here's one of our Romans. So again, playing with textures and contrast in fabric and color too. So we have nice flowy effervescent quality, but also a pop with this piece that was made here. Yeah, down to our
this is the superstar finale.
Yeah, this is one of our showgirl numbers. It looks a lot better on person than it does on the hanger, but they have a lot of sparkle and glitz to them for Judas's resurrection song, which is a very interesting approach. Like, you never really consider that in Superstar, we don't ever get to Jesus's resurrection. However, Judas has he comes back for his resurrection and sings Superstar. So it's kind of an interesting take that you don't usually think about.
That's
true.
True.
You're just like, oh my gosh, I love the song Jesus Christ Superstar. It's the title song. However, it comes at an interesting point in the show. So
That would
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for showing us around.
Thank you.
Come and see
Yes.
Jesus Christ Superstar here at Arizona Broadway Theatre through April 16th.
Hopefully see you soon.